Have you ever just stopped mid-bite and thought to yourself, why does our food taste so wildly different from one dish to the next? And really, why do we even need so many different kinds of it? It's not just about satisfying our cravings, right? There's actually this whole fascinating science and a super rich cultural history behind every single thing we put on our plates.
So, welcome to This Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to be your guide today as we jump into Food for Health, a journey to happy living. We're going to explore how our bodies actually use different foods, uncover some ancient secrets of flavor, and figure out how to build habits that literally lead to a happier, healthier life. So get ready because this is probably going to change the way you look at your next meal.
All right, here's our quick roadmap for today. We'll start with a welcome to the food festival, then check out the 6 tastes of Ayurveda, move on to understanding your food groups, talk about building a balanced plate, and finally, wrap up with some smart kitchen habits.
Okay, let's jump right into Section 1, Welcome to the Food Festival.
So I want you to just picture this. Imagine walking through the gates of a bustling, super vibrant school fair. The air is just packed with the aromas of different spices, sweet treats, and savory snacks. Kids are rushing everywhere, wanting to taste the whole shebang. And right there, at a stall called Superfood, is a student named Surbi checking out millets. Looking at a menu filled with things like jawar upma and bajre ki khichdi, she remembers how her grandmother used to eat jawar and bajra rotis in the winter and jal rotis in the summer. It's just a really cool reminder that our traditional, nutrient-dense foods, these literal superfoods, have been keeping our families healthy for generations.
Moving on to Section 2, the 6 tastes of Ayurveda.
As we keep wandering through our festival, we spot a stall with a line wrapping literally around the corner. It's called Mystery Masala, and it's all about shadrasa. Now that's an ancient Ayurvedic principle that translates to the 6 major tastes. You see, Ayurvedic teaches us that eating a balanced diet isn't just about tallying up vitamins and minerals. It's actually about experiencing a balanced variety of these 6 very specific flavors. And when we manage to incorporate all of them, it actively promotes our overall health and wellness.
To put that into perspective, take the traditional dish Ugadi Pachadi. It's like a masterclass in flavor. It perfectly combines sweet jaggery, sour tamarind, salty salt, pungent green chili, bitter neem, and astringent raw mango. Yep, that's 6 completely different tastes all in one single bite. And the coolest part? When all these tastes are blended in just the right measure, the food isn't just healthier for you, it's vastly more enjoyable to eat.
All right, that brings us to Section 3, Understanding your food groups.
Okay, so we've talked about flavor, but let's shift gears and look at function. Like, what is our body actually doing with that delicious Ugadi Pachadi or those millet rotis? Let's break it down by contrasting 2 really critical groups, bodybuilding foods and protective foods. You can think of bodybuilding foods, stuff like pulses, milk, meat, almonds, as the construction workers of your body. They help us grow, they build up our muscles, and make us physically strong. But then on the flip side, we have protective foods. These are essentially your body's defense shields, packed with essential vitamins, fruits and vegetables. Think spinach, oranges, carrots. They actively fight against and protect us from diseases. They're both absolutely crucial, and you simply cannot replace one with the other.
And of course, to power all of that building and defending, we have our third category, energy-providing foods. Just like a car needs gas to run, we need energy-providing foods to give us the daily fuel required to stay active, play sports, and, keep our brains sharp for learning every single day.
But here's the catch, not all fuel is created equal. Junk food, we're talking soft drinks, chips, burgers. These are typically super high in oil, salt, and sugar. Plus, they're usually over-processed and packaged, completely lacking the actual essential nutrients our bodies desperately need to build muscle, ward off disease, or even just sustain healthy energy levels. When it comes down to it, fresh, home-cooked food is just vastly superior to those over-processed items. No question about it.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 4, Building a Balanced Plate. So how do we actually synthesize all this science into our daily routines? Well, it all comes down to remembering one really simple, beautiful motto: colors on plate, wellness in life. Since literally no single food contains every single nutrient our bodies need, variety is the absolute name of the game here. Basically, the more colors you have sitting there on your plate, the more likely you are hitting all those necessary food groups we just talked about.
And here's exactly how you'd ideally balance those colors out. Notice how the biggest portion, we're talking about 50% of your plate, should be dedicated to protective foods. Yep, Those are your fruits and vegetables. That's your primary disease-fighting shield right there. After that, you want a solid 30% dedicated to bodybuilding foods to keep your muscles strong, and then the remaining 20% for energy-providing foods to keep you moving. This ratio right here is basically the blueprint for staying healthy, active, and happy.
But hold on, our meal isn't really complete without something to drink, right? Hydration is a massive piece of this puzzle. Water is absolutely essential for digesting all that healthy food, flushing out waste, and even keeping our skin looking healthy. And hey, don't forget you can also kind of eat your water by snacking on super water-rich fruits like watermelon or cucumbers.
All right, let's head into our final section, Section 5, Smart Kitchen Habits.
So, knowing all about nutrition is great, but knowing how to actually prepare it safely, that's where the real magic happens. Just think about how heat physically transforms our ingredients through different cooking methods. You aren't just cooking, you're steaming fluffy idlis, frying up crispy samosas, roasting crunchy papads, or baking sweet treats like peda and gulab jamun. Understanding these specific methods really helps us appreciate the skill involved in the kitchen, and more importantly, it helps us make smarter, healthier choices about how our everyday meals are prepared.
And speaking of preparation, did you know you can actually cook food using literally just the power of the sun? It's true. Solar cookers use sunlight instead of gas or electricity. It's honestly a brilliant, eco-friendly way to prepare a meal without producing any polluting smoke or ash, so you're protecting both your health and the environment at the exact same time.
Now, when you aren't cooking completely from scratch, you kind of need to be a detective in your own pantry. There are two really essential steps for checking packaged food labels. First, always check the best before or expiry date to make sure what you're eating is fresh and safe. Second, actually read that ingredient list. You really need to know exactly what you are putting into your body, especially so you can spot and avoid those hidden sugars and excessive salts we warned about earlier.
As we wrap up this explainer today, I really just want to bring us back to the central guiding principle, colors on plate, wellness in life. It's such a remarkably simple yet profoundly impactful way to summarize everything we've covered, from the 6 ancient tastes of Ayurveda all the way to balancing out our protective and bodybuilding foods. The whole shebang really just comes down to embracing variety and color.
Which ultimately brings me right back to you. You've seen the science, we've explored the food groups, and you know exactly what smart habits to look out for. So I'll leave you with this to think about. What healthy, colorful choices are you going to make for your very next meal? Are you going to try a new flavor? Maybe bump up your protective foods? The choice is literally on your plate. Thanks so much for hanging out with me on this explainer journey, and I absolutely cannot wait to dive into more fascinating topics with you next time.